And are you refreshed? Good. So let us hear from you.
The question was about allergies, and if you're allergic and it gets worse, is it just a sign of that you're getting off track? And is it just a sign of, is everything you're allergic for, is it a new emotional thing, or is it just getting bigger and bigger?
Well, it's interesting because for something to get started, there must be a vibrational imbalance, which is usually not recognized by someone who doesn't know about tending to their emotions. So then they have a manifestation that is not pleasing to them, that now they begin noticing. And the more they notice what is not wanted, the more they offer a vibration that compounds it. And so that's why most things do become more. Then let's say a physician, a counselor, someone offers them a remedy. And if they believe in the remedy, then often they can find relief from the remedy. Or if they are coached about a behavior and they follow the advice and they believe the advice, sometimes they can feel relief from the change of behavior. But still, in those cases, the original vibrational imbalance has not been addressed. And so it's going to squirt out in another way and in another way. In fact, here's a very powerful statement that you have only so far heard here, and that is, side effects are just resistance squirting out in another way. When you receive the medicine, even when you believe in the medicine is not dealing with the vibrational imbalance, and so the vibrational imbalance just finds yet another crack of least resistance through which to manifest. So do you want to talk in more detail about something specific relative to allergy?
Well, the way I worked till now is test for which things people are allergic, but and then per thing treat that. I mean, explain what is behind and causing the.
Do you have any experience where everything that, in other words, is your remedy foolproof? Does it always work, or does it mostly work?
It does, yeah.
And so give us so what is your question? If you have something that's working, why are we having this conversation?
Am I supposed to focus on the big problem, the emotional problem behind, or just focus on the specific allergies? If someone's allergic to bread and milk and yeast and, well, cats
well, it
and dogs.
depends upon the depth of the question, doesn't it? In other words, here's a good way to approach this. Let's say that you are having a conversation with someone and it is escalated and escalated until you have come to physical blows. Now, it's extreme, and women may not be able to relate to it as well as men, but let's say you are having an actual fist fight, and consider the wisdom in controlling your behavior, using a sort of willpower to pull those fists back before they began flying, and not moving forward into the actual physical confrontation. Now, the advantage in that would be that you wouldn't have gotten your nose broken, or maybe you wouldn't have ended up in jail. In other words, you can see that by moving forward, it got a lot worse rather than getting better. So in like manner, let's say that you're having an argument with someone. Have you ever had an argument with someone or a disagreement where the surer you were about your opinion, the more sure they were about their opinion? And so it turned out no one received any benefit from the interaction. Both just became more fervently certain that their opinion was the right opinion. And so in the same way that we are encouraging you to pull back your fists rather than move into something getting worse, we would encourage you to pull back your words, and then to take it further in this understanding of creation and vibration, we're encouraging you now to pull back your thoughts. But in all of this pulling back, whether you are not having the fist fight that you feel like you'd like to have, or not having the verbal argument that you really feel like you'd like to have, you're using your willpower to keep yourself from doing it. Now pulling back your thoughts is a similar thing. In other words, using willpower to keep it from going further and keeping it from going further is a functioning way. It's a productive way of keeping yourself from getting further into things that you don't want to do. And this is in this conversation of controlling behavior. It sounds to those of you who are listening to us that we're encouraging a pulling back of thoughts as a better advantage than a pulling back of words or a pulling back of behavior. But if you're really examining the dynamics of creation, you would discover that whether you're pulling back your behavior or you're pulling back your words or you're pulling back your thought, you're still outside the vortex thinking about what you're not going to do. In other words, you're trying to use your willpower to stop doing something. And so all of that still falls into the same category of outside the vortex, not very powerful creating. Where what we're wanting you to understand is that if you will do your creating from inside the vortex, wait until you are in a moment where you are feeling at your very best and do your affirming of what you want from inside the vortex. Now there's not any compensating. It's the phrase that we've used before effectively, it gets your attention at any rate, is there's just not enough action in the world to compensate for that vibration. And so that's how we feel about so much behavior. You can pull back your behavior, but it doesn't change the vibrational stance. And it's the vibrational stance that is the true inspiration for what comes next, because the vibrational stance is your point of attraction, and then things come in response to that. So while we are certainly not in disagreement, if we were standing in physical shoes and we were feeling physically uncomfortable, we would do anything that we could do to assure our comfort. We wouldn't go boldly into a fist fight where it is likely that we would get hurt. We would use our willpower to affect our behavior, but we just wouldn't stop at that. And that really is what the essence of your question is. I know that I can affect them to some certain extent, but isn't their resistance just going to squirt out in another way if their resistance isn't addressed? And so from our standpoint, we go as far as we can feel our student is ready to go. In other words, if someone has come to you and they just want to know what it is they're doing so that they can stop doing it, that's a different person than someone who says, I sense that there's something more at the heart of this because I've been allergic to that, and then I was allergic to that, and then I was allergic to that, and then I was allergic to that.
I had an accident.
Usually the remedies are not long lasting because it's not because there are toxins in their body that become evident in other ways. It's because there's vibrational patterning in their body that becomes evident in other ways. So we would take it on a case-by-case basis, and we would offer words and see what kind of response you're getting from people. But our basic message, if we were standing in your physical shoes to everyone, is you are supposed to feel good. And I don't just mean physically good, I mean emotionally good. And the two are intricately tied together. And what I've noticed, you could tell them in all of the people that I've interacted with, is that I can treat physical symptoms all day long, but if they are not getting to the heart of their emotional symptoms, then there are recurrences of things. And so but for now, let's just get you comfortable. That's the way we'd start. For now.
That's not the way I work. No, but it's a language thing. I work the way you say, and I think I got it.
Very good.
Answered this part of the question.
Yes.